Hello, friends. We are thrilled to be here to welcome you to a special Behind the Book episode with our friend Susan Zurenda to celebrate her brand new novel, The Girl from the Red Rose Motel. I'm Friends in Fiction co-host and co-founder Kristy Woodson Harvey.
And I'm Friends in Fiction co host and co founder, Patti Callahan Henry. Now, let me tell you about Susan. Susan Beckham Zurenda taught English for 33 years. God bless her. To college and high school students. Her debut novel, Bells for Eli, has received several awards, including first placement for Best First Book, Fiction, in the 2021 Indie Publisher Book Awards. Zurenda has also published and won numerous awards for her short fiction. A lifelong South Carolinian, she lives in Spartanburg.
Welcome, Susan. And I just want to say that I think all of those students that you taught for 33 years owe you purchasing a copy of this new book.
I agree. I agree. And thank you, Kristy. Thank you, Patti, for having me, Friends in Fiction. I just so much appreciate your friendship and generosity in doing this. Yeah, I estimated one time because when I taught 20 years in community college, so you change students each semester. I taught over 7,000 students. Now that would be pretty good.
Wow. That would be incredible.
Let's get all their emails. Can we do that?
That's right. We need to lobby for that. Well, Susan, we wanted to start off by asking you if you could tell us a little bit what this novel is about. And then, in true Friends in Fiction fashion, we want you to tell us what it's really about.
Okay. So here is the book. And I like the cover. It's very bold. It's very attention getting.
I love it.
The Girl from the Red Rose Motel does call on, I guess you would say, my teaching experience. One of the main characters is an English teacher, and it calls on my knowledge, but she's a whole lot nicer and funkier than I ever was. And when I taught my last 10 years in high school, I had a kind of bipolar life. I taught the 12th grade AP English students, and then I taught a fifth class of what was called reading strategies, the lowest level kids who couldn't pass the exit exam, far behind in reading and writing. So I had this idea that I was going to put a student, from an AP class with a student from a low level class. So in the book, Sterling Lovell, who is an well off, brilliant, and arrogant 12th grade boy, meets Hazel Smalls, who is a bright but disadvantaged 11th grade girl who lives in the Red Rose Motel. And they meet in school suspension because Sterling has crossed over a line with his English teacher. And actually, he and three of his crazy 8 friends, there's 8 of them, have usurped her class, and she's had enough. So she has them put in school suspension. Hazel has not worn her ROTC uniform to class. It was dirty, and she didn't wear it. And the sergeant punished her for not wearing her uniform. She couldn't afford to have it cleaned. He put her in detention, but she couldn't go to detention because she didn't have a ride home. So she ends up in ISS. Sterling finds an almost immediate attraction to Hazel. She's quite beautiful, and very unlikely romance begins. And their English teacher, Angela Wilmore, gets way too involved in their lives.
I love that. Okay, so what's it really about?
It's really about, no, I'm just kidding. Somebody said, that the teacher has a story arc of her own. And she gets involved with the divorce principal. So somebody's going to say, "Oh, did you have an affair with the principal?" And I'll go, "Oh yeah, I did." No, not really. It was the vice principal. No, I'm just kidding. It wasn't either one. But it's
spices up the story a little.
Yeah. It is just, it's about the unusual connections that people can have, and in doing so, how it's beneficial to all. You wouldn't think like a widowed English teacher, a really affluent boy, and a girl who has very low self-esteem and is like a scared rabbit would ever come together for the benefit of all, but they do. Sterling and Hazel have a relationship, but it is fraught with many, many difficulties because girls are jealous of her. Sterling's a very popular boy. They don't get it. They don't understand. And they set out to sabotage her. And it almost gets her expelled. And then that's when the teacher gets involved. And it ends, Hazel's the protagonist. And it ends in a very dramatic and unexpected way. I mean, you build up to it. It's not unexpected in terms of the story, but it is a really bold, life-changing decision that Hazel makes at the end of the book. So I'll leave
love
that
it.
hanging.
I was going to say, just we're not going any further. Leave that hook. But when you talk about high school and you taught it, and some of our favorite movies like The Breakfast Club, they get sent to detention and they bond together, and you have these very different people coming together. And in high school, it's such rich fodder for novels because people get in their little groups, the cool group, the slick group, the athletic group, which I was not in. So that true coming of age when we're starting to I was not athletic. But it's a time when there's a coming of age and we're starting to develop our own ideas about the world.
Right.
But we're still under our parents' roof, so they're telling us what our ideas are about the world. But Sterling and Hazel are excellent examples and characters who break free and can really find out who they are. So did you mean to, and how did you kind of dive back into that coming of age the moment in our life?
I think coming of age is so important because those years are really the ones that create who we are for the rest of our lives. And, people have asked me, oh, is this a YA novel because it's teenagers? No, it is not. I hope older teenagers will read it, but it's not. It's really about very adult things. Hazel and Sterling are very much on the cusp of becoming adults. And Hazel, she lives in the Red Rose Motel with an alcoholic father and a mother who's struggling to do the best that she can. Now, I won't tell all that happens to the parents, but I will say that Angela Wilmore, her English teacher, really becomes the parental figure for Hazel. She becomes her foster mother, and Hazel begins to learn and grow about the world in a way that she never knew. And Sterling begins to grow and know about a world that he never knew, that makes him more empathetic to a life, he never imagined. Actually, his father owns the Red Rose Motel, and that is how he finds out that that's where Hazel lives. He goes one morning to a very, very cold morning where the pipes are frozen, and his father makes him go with him to the motel to help him unfreeze the pipes. And he sees Hazel cleaning the office. And that's when he learns, oh my God, he thought he knew, he thought he understood, but he didn't know.
He did not.
Mm-hmm. So it's an unusual coming of age story because both of these young people get the opportunity to see and understand worlds they didn't know.
That's amazing. And it actually leads really well into my next question, which this book is described as an unflinching, authentic look at the challenges faced by America's public school teachers and the struggles of the thousands of homeless children in motels who live precariously and almost invisibly amid the nation's most affluent communities. Wow. I mean, that is powerful. So
like
can you tell us,
powerful.
Yeah, exactly. Can you tell us a little bit about the research that you did into this subject and what you learned about this problem along the way?
About the sheltered homeless living in motels. I cannot definitively say how many young people I had in my reading strategies classes who lived in motels. I know one because he was a smart young man who knew a lot about computers back in the day when I knew less than I know now. And he stayed after school to help me one day. And you're not supposed to, so nobody's listening to this, right? But I took Malik home that afternoon. He had no way home. So I said, okay, tell me where to go. Well, we go out to the interstate to this pretty rundown looking motel. And I said, Malik, where's your house? He said, this is where I live. And I went, I can't leave you here. And he said, no, I promise, this is where I live. And that was my introduction into it. And then a very beloved guidance counselor in the school district where I taught became very much aware of the motel problem in our city of Spartanburg, South Carolina. And she started a nonprofit called CAST, Care, Accept, Share, and Teach, to help families living in motels save enough for a deposit to get out. That organization sponsors a summer camp for the children in the summertime so that they can see something besides a dirty, filthy parking lot. So I've learned a lot about it from Gloria, who started that organization. And my research, I'll just give you a little number here. It kind of blow you away. One night, just this is one example. One night at the end of January 2022, there were 348,630 minors under the age of 18 living in rundown motels.
Wow.
And that is just
Horrifying.
unbelievable. And these kids, I mean, you know how big a motel room is. No kitchen, everybody crowded in on, whatever, maybe two beds in there. It's just horrible. And the sad part is in my community, and I think it's true everywhere, it can cost more to stay nightly in a rundown motel than a 2-bedroom rental apartment would be if you just had the deposit money.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true.
And I think so many people would want to help, even listening to this right now, if you even knew the problem existed, but
Right.
it's just hidden there.
Yeah,
under the surface.
that's one of the things I want. I mean, I want to champion teachers with this book, but I also want to bring awareness of the problem of it is, I mean, it's called homelessness. I mean, children who live in motels are by the government termed as homeless. And it's just not something, unless you have been exposed to it in some way, as I have been, you don't really
don't know.
think about it. You think it's all drug addicts, you know, you think it's all drug addicts and mentally ill people. And yes, there's certainly there are those folks who have to are living in motels, but it's a lot of families who just because they've lost jobs, because they have bad credit, because they've been evicted, and once you've been evicted, you can't rent again. There's just a whole host of reasons that people end up in those circumstances.
Wow. Susan, what a powerful story. But even though it is about that, it is about so much more. So for all of you out there, the girl from the Red Rose Motel, it is about love. It is about opening your eyes to other
Yes.
people. It is about coming of age. It is about the plight of teachers. And it's about caring
Yes,
for each other.
yeah, I would like to say, I think it's a pretty stunning love story, both for the teacher. She has her own story arc. She has her own love story. And Sterling and Hazel's love story is I think, pretty incredible too.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, Susan, before we let you go, can you tell us where readers can find you on tour and online in these coming days and weeks?
Yes, I can. Thank you. My website is susanzurenda.com. And you click on the events tab and you'll see where all I'm going. And I hope that if some of your many wonderful readers and friends in fiction are anywhere in the neck of the woods where I am, that maybe they'll stop in.
Awesome.
They're good about that. We know they will. Okay. Well, Susan, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you so much. And as Patti said, we encourage our friends in fiction community to check out The Girl from the Red Rose Motel. And you can purchase your copy from your local independent bookstore, our Friends in Fiction Bookshop.org page, or wherever books are sold. And go check out Susan's tour page and go see her. So thank you, everybody, so much for joining us, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you.